Hello friends, welcome back to the Life Reset Collective. My name is Josh. Today we're talking about when you feel like giving up on life. This helped me through. I'm going through my second life reset in my life. Both times for me were due to divorce, but this channel is committed to helping and supporting anyone going through a life reset with helpful, practical tips, anecdotes, encouragement, hope, and just in general community. So hit that subscribe button. And if you feel like giving up on life right now, that's what this video is about. I want to talk through this just a little bit. So going through this second complete life reset, I'm having to start completely over, basically from scratch. Got a bunch of legal bills I have to pay, working 2 jobs to get all of my goals met. Really very difficult time, and I don't know how many of you have gone through a divorce, but sometimes it can really feel like there's just no end in sight. You have the weight of this situation. And this is true no matter what your life reset is about. Whether you lost a home, whether you lost a loved one, whether you lost a job, whatever reason led to you needing to restart, the truth is, you probably feel the weight of the situation resting upon you. And it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're 25, 35, I'm 38. So this is coming, at a time right as I'm approaching 40. There's also a psychological element to the age sometimes. You think to yourself, man, maybe I have time left, but it feels like I'm wasting so much time. This is cutting into, whatever era of your life that's supposed to be. But there's this pressing stuff that just gets on top of you, and it feels like you're in a hole and you have to escape it. And the truth is that there's no quick, easy fix. A lot of times it's very expensive. A lot of times it's very labor intensive. A lot of times it's very emotionally and psychologically intensive. Even just trying to grasp, what can I do? How can I get out of this? And the truth is, when you get under the weight of all that, it can make you want to give up. Earlier this week, I went into like a spiral where I was just trying to think through my plan. How am I going to get past this divorce? How am I going to take care of all of the things that have to get taken care of before I can even have a hope of actually taking a deep breath and continuing my quote unquote normal life? And that's part of the trap. Normal life has changed forever now. After you embark on a life reset, normal life is over from the last chapter. Now we're moving forward in a good chapter. And we want to make it a good chapter, but there's probably a big challenge, probably a lot of weight, probably a big hole we have to climb out of in order to get there. So, what has helped me? I think that one of the first things that helped me was to kind of take stock of the good things that are going on, like a kind of optimism, a kind of looking at things from a gratitude perspective. The truth is, my life is not perfect. There's a lot of issues going on, but there's also a lot of good going on. There are a lot of good things. And so for you, one of the things I think that can help us get through these times where we feel like, what's the point? It feels hopeless. True, the path forward may seem hopeless, but taking just a moment to look at the situation around you and to cultivate a bit of gratitude is very powerful for helping to frame our minds in a more positive, a more basically hopeful, forward moving kind of frame. I think that if we let ourselves get too beat up and we sit in the hopeless area, this is going to prevent us from being able to manifest our way to the victory, to the out of the pit, to the next chapter. We want to get to that next chapter. And there's doubtlessly a lot of misery going on in the hopeless situation you're in right now. However, it's really important that we prepare ourselves to move forward, to get to that next phase. And friend, let me just tell you something right now. You have the ability, you have the power to get to a next chapter. You have the power to get to that life that you want to get to. You have the power to overcome all of these problems that are just on top of you, holding you down. However, the first step is cultivating that mindset of, okay, all right, take a deep breath. Let's just assess what's going on here. This sucks. A lot of this sucks, but let's find the good. Let's grab a hold of the good just for now. This is the very first step, right? And that leads us to step number 2, which is figure out some kind of plan, okay? Now, this channel is not about shaming or judging you for the things that happened that led to the life reset. We've all made mistakes. We have all been in situations where bad things happened to us that we had control over, like maybe we contributed to them. We've also had situations happen to us that were out of our control, that we couldn't control. And depending on your specific situation, you may really be more in one camp or more in the other. And I don't actually think that matters, because the point of this channel is not to point fingers at you or blame you or to judge you in any way. I'm trying not to judge myself for my mistakes in my failed marriage, both of them at this point. And I'm not trying to judge you for the things that have happened. This step is about making a plan to move forward. And that's what this channel is about, moving forward. Let's move forward. Let's get to the next chapter. Let's find hope. Let's find fulfillment, because you deserve it. And while you're down there, and I want you to picture this metaphor with all the situation and all the things in it is just on you. It's basically like weighing you down. It's holding you down. It is stifling you. It's suffocating you. You feel like giving up because it is miserable and painful, and you cannot maybe see a way out of it. What I want you to do in the step 2 is this. I want you to think of some plan, some hope. Latch on to something in the horizon, in the future. For me, I have this vision. I have this vision of basically, and I'm going to be very honest with you, in my mind, this is just me personally, I think to myself, if I can just get out of this situation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go do something I've always wanted to do. I'm going to go live off grid. I'm going to go have an adventure in my life. And this is just me personally. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just sharing with you what this step looked like for me literally earlier this week when I felt like giving up. It's like I feel like I'm done with all of like XYZ things. There's so many things in this kind of like modern world that I feel like I'm done with. And I personally have always had this dream of basically living way further out in nature, living a way more simple life, not having all these crazy high bills, not having all of these like, there are things in the modern world that are awesome, but there are also things in this modern world to me that just drag me down. And I kind of feel like I waste a lot of my time just doing kind of like nonsense things for other people and entities that are not really serving me very much. Now, I'm not going to go into that. That's actually for another channel. I'm going to start a channel about that one of these days. But the point is, in the mire of this feeling of being crushed and suffocated by my situation, I thought I grasped at a plan. Basically, it's like a lifeline rope of a plan. You grab a hold of it for some hope. And I thought to myself, when I get out of this, I'm going to leave these things I want to leave behind, and I'm going to go find the life I want. I'm going to do it. I've had enough. I'm not playing any more games with this. I'm going to go do it. And when I decided that for myself, when I made that decision, that gave me a plan. Now, the details, they are not fully formed right now in step 2. It's just a lifeline. You just find something to cling to, but that leads to step 3. But before we go to step 3, I just want to tell you, find a lifeline, find hope. Think to yourself, what will I do when I get out from under all of this? When I wrestle myself free of this and finally get it behind me, what do I want to do? What do you want to do with your life? What do you want the next chapter to be? What are you excited to put your energy toward once you can finally be done with this mess that is on top of you, suffocating you, causing you pain, holding you down? What do you want to do when you get free of it? When you finally throw it all off of you and you get away? What do you want to do? When you get to that point, that is what this step is all about. So I want you to imagine that for yourself. Now, step 3, we have to plan out some of the details. Now, there's a reason why I'm talking about an action-oriented response to wanting to give up, as opposed to like a more like self-care or relaxation kind of approach. Like, there is an argument to be made when you want to give up. Just take a little break, take a breather, relax, meditate, eat some ice cream, watch a comfort movie. These things are all valid, and sometimes these are the things that help. But I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to be very honest with you. To me, those steps are the steps to take when I'm having a bad day, when the stress is really getting to me, when things are getting very frustrating, when I am very stressed out and I'm near the end of my rope. But this was a different situation this week. I'm not talking about just being stressed or frustrated or just, kind of near the end of your rope. I'm talking about you want to give up. Like, you want to give up. It feels so crushing that you feel actually legitimately hopeless. That is the situation I'm talking about. And when you cross that line from I'm getting close to wanting to give up and no, I want to give up, I feel like I can't do it anymore, that's what I'm talking about. That side of the line is what this video is about. And I think that some of these self-care things, they fail. They fail for me when I get there. I try to watch a movie. I don't care about the movie. Life has no meaning anymore. Why? Like, I don't care about that movie. Eating ice cream, okay. But as I sit there eating it, I'm gut-wrenched over the hopelessness of my situation. So for me, those things cease to help when I get to that point of like, I actually want to give up right now. Like, right now, I actually am done. I don't want to live on this planet anymore. That's what I'm talking about. Like, when you seriously get to that point where you just want to give up, where you stop caring, where you realize and you think and you decide to yourself, it doesn't matter anymore. There is no point in going on. Like, that is why I am prescribing more action-oriented responses, because for me, I believe you have to have action-oriented responses in a situation like that, where you feel like that, and where that feels like the only recourse you have left is to just give up, right? To stop trying, to stop caring about what happens tomorrow, because honestly, like, what's the point, right? If you feel that way, first of all, I'm so sorry, because I do know how that feels. Every situation is different. I don't know how you feel specifically, but that's how it feels to me. That's how it felt to me earlier this week. That's why I'm even making this video, because I want to talk about this. I think this is so crucial and so important. And that's why I'm trying to prescribe action-oriented steps, because these are actually the steps that helped me this week go from I want to give up to then formulating a plan and reaching a point of hope where I kind of thought, you know what? It's not hopeless. I can do this. And that got me through it, right? So step 3 is actually making the plan. So for me, I started making some specifics. I started writing some things down. Step 1, what should I do? Okay, here's step 1. Step 2, what should I do? Here's step 2. What should I do for step 3? Here's step 3. And when you look at that list, you may think to yourself, oh my God, there's so much to do to get past this. There's so many battles to fight. There are so many things to overcome. Just looking at this list might feel kind of hopeless, but there's also for me an element of hope in this, because I'm making a plan. I'm making a plan of action. And when you make a plan of action, you really increase your odds of succeeding, because you're assessing it, you're doing the math, you're kind of looking at how much time you have, you're looking at what it's going to take to overcome this thing and this thing and this thing. And then you start to realize, okay, if I can spend this much money on this thing, or if I can, spend this much time on this part, it'll take me this long to figure out. I also have to do these other things. These are the upkeep items I have to keep up, but if I can eliminate extra and focus it on this, I can knock that problem out. If I can get past that first problem, I can get onto the second one, and so on and so forth. And so making those steps, for me, this week, that was how I got through it. And this is not new for me. When I reach a point like this in my life, this is always the process I make. In fact, I often tell my kids as kind of like life advice, if they're having a hard time or something, I always say, listen, when life is hard, when you don't know what else to do, if everything else around you just seems hopeless, first of all, please come talk to me, because I want you to have someone to talk to. But the truth is, if you ever reach out that point in your life, sit down and make yourself a list, a step-by-step list. Make yourself a plan. Really look at it and see, okay, it might feel hopeless, but what would it actually take to solve the problems and get out from under the crushing weight of whatever it is you're feeling? And you know what? A lot of times when you see it on paper, it's not so bad. I mean, it's bad, but it goes from being kind of this monster in the dark that doesn't really have a shape or form to being, a monster that all of a sudden now you see how many hit points it has, and you see how much damage it can do, and you see how much it might take to remove it from your life. And so that is why I believe that taking those steps in the step 3 are so important. Write down your actual specific action plan. And then we're going to go to step 4, and this is pretty simple. Make the changes you have to make the sacrifices you have to make all of the changes necessary to actually give your plan a hope for success. This can be the hard part. For me, I have this big item at the top of my list that's going to be very difficult. And to be really honest, that's the biggest, hardest problem. And the specifics of my situation don't matter, but let's just put it this way. The first big to-do list item on my list is going to be the hardest, because it's going to require the most money. It's going to require the most time. It's going to require the most work and energy of all the other steps on my list. It's the biggest, baddest problem that makes my life feel like a slog right now. But here's the thing. When I look at that problem, I think, okay, it's going to take this much money. It's going to take this much time. Okay, now let's add up all the money and time I have available every month, and let's see how long it'll take me. Can I get rid of that problem? Can I fix that problem? Can I overcome that problem? Can I conquer that challenge with these resources? Maybe I look at the two and I think, okay, I actually don't have enough resources. Maybe this is why it has felt so hopeless, because I instinctively or subconsciously knew that my resources were not enough to deal with the problem this way. Okay, now we have to think outside of the box. Maybe we have to redo the math. What if so for me, one of the answers was get a second job. This really increases my money, even if it's just temporary. Then I do the math and I think, oh, now wait a minute. With this extra money, this big problem actually gets way easier to solve. Okay, so now there's hope. I have hope now. I see that there are things I could do to help me start to make my plan look reasonable. And this is really important. Be willing to commit your life to climbing out of that hole. Be willing to make the sacrifices necessary, to spend the money necessary, to do the stuff necessary, to get yourself out from under the oppressive weight of what is making you feel hopeless right now. There are a lot of people who will sit in that miserable hole because it's so hard to think of getting out of it. But I believe that if you want to reset your life, at some point you're going to have to start climbing out of that hole. You're going to have to start getting that weight off your back. You're going to have to start loving yourself enough to say, I deserve better than this, and you do deserve better, and I want better for you. So those 4 steps are the steps this week that went from me waking up one day thinking, I can't do this another day. And then that day, I sat down and I went through all 4 of these steps. I went through all 4 of them. I was angry. I was mad. I didn't want to sit down and be grateful for anything. I was angry. I didn't want to sit down and look at the situation and make a list of things. I didn't want to do any of those things. I didn't want to do any of those things. I didn't want to grasp at a lifeline. I just wanted to give up. But I made myself sit down and do these 4 steps. And I went in one day from feeling like there is literally no hope to having kind of like a good plan and realizing that that plan's probably going to get better. And if I'm willing to sacrifice and work and, put my resources toward it, things are going to get better. I'm going to start being able to check those items off my list. And then every item I check off, that's another weight off my back and another step toward a better, brighter future with hope. And that's what I want for you today. Hope. So do not give up. Do not give in. Do not cave in to the oppressive weight from your past that is holding you down. Find a way to get past that, to get out of the hole and to start your next chapter. You can do it. Your next chapter starts right now. Thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. My name is Josh. This is the Life Reset Collective. I hope you have an amazing day and an amazing week, and I will see you on the next video.